We started working on a little bodega, a garage, so I could put my equipment and stuff in it out of the rain. And let's see, I guess we started this in January. And we progressed along real fast, but then had some other things that we needed to do, so we stopped. But I'm not quite finished with it yet. We've got one side of it done. This, by the way, is called a Palapa, which means it's got the palm leaves for the roof. And you can see we've got the back that hasn't been done yet. So we've started it. We've got, let's see, 2 rows. And so what we're doing is we're gathering palm leaves now. There's a palm tree of sorts. There's different kinds. That's one kind. And so here in a minute we're going to cut about half those palm leaves off, and then you bring them over, put them on the ground in the shade like this where they can dry out. It takes about 3 days for them to get good and dry. And there's some right there that are already dry. There's some more back there that are dry. And the guys are still gathering them. In fact, Diego has got the big ladder. Let's see if I can get this. It always amazes me. These guys climb a ladder almost straight up in the air. They say that they just don't need much angle. So they're going up in this palm tree that you see through the roof there. It has some dead palms on it. Those are no good. But they'll cut those off, and then they'll get some more leaves off the top. So if I had to buy these palm leaves, they'd cost me about 25 cents a piece. But and that's what I did with all these. I bought them because I was in a hurry. I wanted to get it done. And as I said, I ran into some other projects. So here we are at the Palapa, and then up on the hill, there's my house, and swimming pool and solar bodega. So I think we've got almost enough palm leaves gathered up here that we can finish this job, and maybe by the end of the week I can have me a little storage building. The guys, like, since half of it's done, the guys now have moved their breakfast table over here because it tends to rain every day for 30 minutes or an hour. So now they can have their breakfast without having to stand out in the rain. Salvador and Laborio went to get the palms out of this tree here, and I was watching him. He took a hack at one leaf, and then they both took off running. They had a little wasp nest up in the top of it. He kind of disturbed them. They came after him. Once he knocked him down, he just climbs right back in there. When they knock the nest down, the wasps don't stick around. They just fly off immediately. This is Diego up at the top of the ladder. I've shown videos before of him climbing up on top of the windmill. The guy's a daredevil. He will, if you look at this ladder, it's just almost straight up and it doesn't bother him a bit. He says he just has a little bit of an angle on it. He's okay, just like the windmill. And he will climb up anything. Found a little wasp nest up in the tree that was jumping on Diego. They're going to try and burn it down before he climbs up there and cuts any more palm leaves off. Bless his heart, he was all the way up at the top of this ladder, and I could see him jumping on him, sting him in the face. He got down pretty pronto. You know, I just thought I'd insert here a lesson for somebody else. I really love learning new things. Even though sometimes part of learning new things is discovering that the old things that you knew were wrong. And sometimes when you discover you're wrong, you feel a little stupid, or foolish at least. But here on the back corner around my house, and if you've seen, I've got a big yard surrounding my house. I have lots of these really tall palm trees with the leaves on them. Now these are not coconut trees. Don't get confused. Palm trees does not mean coconuts. There are coconut palms and there are palms. But this tree that you see right here that we're about to trim, by the way, this tree right here looked like this about 30 minutes ago. And we've cut the palms off of it. You can see them right here. Some over there to use on the roof on the bodega I showed you in a previous video. So I was just sitting here talking with the guys. Went and got some ice to make some ice water. And these palms, I have noticed, are not natural to this land here. And I've always assumed that Don Pablo, the old man that I bought the ranch from, had planted them. And this little hill right here has so many of them. And they're big. There's one back there. Salvador just told me that this tree right here is probably 30 years old, maybe older. On the other hand, this small one right here in front of, or right behind him, is 5 years old. Now, what he's also informed me about, let me see if I can find one here, is that 5-year-old plant where Diego is looked like this 5 years ago. And my land is covered with these little babies. And I've been digging them up or weeding them down. Let me walk over here and show you. Gosh, so stupid sometimes. But I don't guess it's stupid if you don't know. So here's some. That's a baby palm. It's a baby palm. And you see all these baby palms here on the ground. Well, I've cut down, hate to think, 500 of them, trying to clean up the grounds. Just cut them down with a weed eater. And so this morning, Salvador's told me that in 5 years, these will look like that small one over there by, let me see if I can zoom in, by where the guys are standing. Can you see that? And will make the palm leaves that you can cut. And so I started putting 2 and 2 together in my head, trying to understand why. Oh, by the way, they're burning a wasp nest down if you wonder what that fire is. They want to go cut the leaves, but there's a little wasp nest up there. I started putting 2 and 2 together when Salvador told me about all these baby palms I have here. That Don Pablo, the reason he planted these was because they build the roofs for their Mayan-style palapas with the palm leaves, just like I'm using them for the bodega I'm building. Here's a little palapa that I built. You can see it back there right next to, there's my house. I've got a little palapa next to it that we just use to store tools, fertilizer, what have you. But that's why he planted all these palm trees, was so he would produce his own building materials. And I'm not sure. I guess I have spent, since I've been here, the equivalent of $2,000 on buying these palm leaves from the Pueblo, from men there, because I didn't realize that I could cut them myself off my own tree. So now I know. So I'm not stupid anymore. And I have trees to make my own palapa roofs. And I have a lot of babies now that I'm going to dig up and transplant, put in a bag, and start as a little tree. And in 5 years, for somebody else or for me, they will have palm trees that they can either cut the leaves off of for themselves, or they can cut them off and sell them. They sell in the Pueblo for about 7 pesos a piece, which is more or less 35 or 40 cents US. So there you go. There's my lesson. Maybe you can learn from it too. One final addition to the video I just made about the coconut palms, or the palm trees, not coconut, just the palm trees that I have, and how many of them I've cut down and destroyed. All those babies that I showed you a minute ago, those have come up from where I cut them down. And I must say this about these palms. Here I am, I walked back up here. Sorry, I'm just a little out of breath. It's so hot this morning and I don't have a breeze. We've been working hard. Anyhow, I came back up here to the pool to put my feet in the pool, cool off a little bit. And this, you can see right here beyond the pool, is a little palm tree that's coming back up. I don't know, it's probably 1 meter tall. And I must say this about these things. They are practically indestructible. When my masons were here building the pool, it's all rock. It's no concrete block, it's all rock. And one morning, this palm that I've got right here was right there next to the pool. And that's part of why I planned the pool right here, was so that in the morning, this palm, which used to be about probably over 2 meters tall, it was bigger than I am. It was right there, and I thought, well, this will be a lovely plant to have next to the pool. Well, I came out one morning, and it was in the way of the mason, and he just took his machete and just chopped the thing off to the ground. Oh my gosh. Wasn't even point in getting mad at him because it was already done. And so I just looked at it and I thought, well, there goes my palm. However, as you can see, it just came right back out of the ground. When he cut it off down to the ground. I mean, there wasn't even a stump left. It was just down to the ground. And I thought, well, that one's gone. But here we are. Let's see, I built my pool in November. This is July, so 8 months ago. And it's come back up. And I'm sure it's got from the size it used to be, it's got a big root system. So in probably another year, this will be back about the way it was. And I just wanted to point out, the things are indestructible once you get them in the ground. So all these baby plants that I showed a minute ago, we're going to dig those up, put them in bags and start nurturing them, taking care of them, watering them, fertilizing them. And in 5 years, I'll have maybe, I don't know, 200 palm trees that I can scatter around the ranch and keep reproducing these building materials. So there you go. Other than the fact that it's hot. Oh, there's my bodega that I was telling you about that started this whole process, that we now have enough leaves to finish without having to buy any more.